Hey everyone, it's the Diplomat, and we are on part 35 of the Chris Watts Discovery read-through, and we are beginning here on page 778. In this part, we'll go through a number of interviews, the first being a lifelong friend of Shanann's, Lauren. We'll go through a few other interesting interviews, most of them brief, with Aubrey, Laura, and Amber. And we'll also go through entire Cervi 319 and vehicles, that being both Chris's truck and Shanann's SUV, in terms of evidence. So we'll touch a bit on the extraction of both Shanann and the children, as well as all this different evidence that was found at Cervi 319 and found within the trucks. Okay, so on page 779, as 778 is not here, we have a CBI report, and this description is interview with Lauren, friend of Shanann Watts. This is on September 6th, and this is by reporting law enforcement officer Greg Zentner. She is a longtime friend of Shanann. So we actually have witness number 1 listed as Nicole, Shanann's friend. We have other listed as Lauren, and other number 2 listed as Amanda. Other 3 is Nick, and then Chris's name is listed. Action taken. On Thursday, September 6th, I contacted Lauren and conducted an interview with her at the CBI Denver office located in Lakewood, Colorado. This interview was recorded. The following is a summary of the interview. For a complete account, please review the attached audio file. Lauren told me the following. Lauren said she met Shanann Watts when they were freshmen in high school in 1999 in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Lauren said she lost contact with Shanann for about a year before they reconnected on Facebook. Lauren said Shanann and Chris Watts moved out to Colorado in about 2013, and Lauren moved to Colorado about a year later. Lauren said the first time she met Chris was in 2014. Lauren said her first impression of Chris was that he was very nice and kind of quiet. Lauren continued and said Chris seemed attentive to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. Lauren said nothing about Chris's demeanor struck her as unusual. Lauren said she has seen Shanann and Chris about once a month for the last 4 years. Lauren said it was very common for her and her fiancé to go to Shanann's house for a dinner party or a football party or to talk about Thrive. Lauren said she is very familiar with Chris because of these get-togethers. Lauren said she never heard Shanann talk about any fidelity issues she and Chris were having in their marriage. Lauren said Shanann and Chris appeared to have an equal relationship and shared responsibilities. Lauren said they appeared to communicate very well with each other, and they were very affectionate with one another. Lauren said they appeared to act as a team when caring for their kids. Lauren thought the life that Shanann portrayed on Facebook was very close to how Lauren saw their lives in reality. Lauren said she did see a change recently in the way Chris interacted with Shanann. Lauren said within the last 6 months, Chris appeared to be, in quotes, standoffish towards Shanann. Lauren continued and said Chris was keeping to himself more than usual. Lauren provided an example of one day when she was at Shanann's house. Chris came home from work and went straight upstairs and didn't acknowledge Lauren's presence. Lauren said Chris stayed upstairs while she was at the house and didn't come down to interact with anyone. Lauren also said she noticed Chris was not as affectionate towards Shanann during this time frame. Lauren said she also noticed that the conversations she witnessed with Shanann on the phone to Chris were becoming shorter as time went on. Lauren said these actions were very different from the way she had seen Chris act in the past. Lauren spoke about some issues she knew Shanann and Chris were having in their marriage. Lauren said she knew they had filed for bankruptcy a few years ago. Lauren said she knew that Shanann and Chris occasionally argued about money. Lauren said she also knew that Chris's mother was very disrespectful towards Shanann and frequently questioned Shanann's ability to be a good mother. Lauren said the last time she saw Shanann was about a week before Shanann and the girls went to North Carolina. Lauren thought that was about the last week of June 2018. Lauren said Shanann talked to her about being pregnant, and Lauren said Shanann was excited about having another baby. Lauren also said Shanann told her that Chris also wanted another baby, and he wanted to have a baby boy. Lauren said the last time she spoke to Shanann was on Saturday, August 11th. Lauren said their phone conversation was short because Shanann was in Arizona for a Thrive conference. Lauren said they spoke about having a gender reveal party for Shanann's baby. Lauren said they had plans to get together later in the week to go over these plans. Lauren said she tried to Facebook message Shanann on Sunday, August 12th, but Shanann did not respond. Lauren said she tried to contact Shanann on Monday, August 13th, between 11:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. to ask her about the doctor appointment. Lauren said Shanann did not respond, which Lauren thought was unusual because Shanann always had her phone with her. Lauren said at about 1:30 p.m. she saw a posting on Facebook from Shanann's brother Frankie that Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were missing. Lauren said she eventually drove over to Shanann's house at about 5 p.m. to see if she could find out more information about the situation. Lauren said she didn't text Chris because she didn't have his phone number. Lauren said she called several friends she had in common with Shanann, and none of them had heard from Shanann. Lauren said she did talk to Nicole, Shanann's friend, and learned she had been at Shanann's house earlier in the day and had called the police. Lauren said she went to the house and knocked on the front door, and Chris answered it. Lauren said Chris gave her a hug and invited her inside. Lauren said she saw Amanda and Nick inside the house as well. Lauren said she asked Chris if he was okay, and Chris replied no. Lauren said as she walked into the house, she started looking around to see if she could see anything that might indicate where Shanann and the girls may have gone. Lauren said she first noticed that Shanann's flip-flop shoes were by the front door. Lauren said Shanann always wore those shoes, and she was somewhat surprised they were in the house if Shanann had left. Lauren said she also saw a carry-on suitcase and a handbag which appeared to be still packed. Lauren said she also saw some of the kids' toys next to one of the chairs in the living room area. Lauren said she thought the toys by the chair was a little strange because Shanann always kept her house very clean and the toys appeared to be out of place. Lauren then commented that she glanced up the stairs towards where the bedrooms were located. Lauren said Chris noticed her glance up the stairs and he spontaneously commented to her, in quotes, "I had to close the doors upstairs. I had to close all the doors because I can't handle going up there and seeing everything, like the toys and stuff," end quote. Lauren said she found this comment to be very strange because there were several toys scattered around the house on the main level, and these toys didn't seem to be bothering Chris. Lauren said she asked Chris if he had gone out to look for Shanann and the girls. Lauren said Nick answered this question by saying the police told them that going out and looking for Shanann and the girls wasn't going to do any good. Lauren said she then asked Chris again if he had gone to look for Shanann, and he repeated what Nick said about the police telling him not to go looking. Lauren said she thought this was very strange. Lauren said as she was talking to Chris, she noticed he was wearing a tank top shirt and she was checking his arms and hands for any signs of injuries. Lauren said she did not see any injuries on Chris. Lauren said she noticed when she was asking Chris questions about Shanann, Chris would avoid eye contact with her, and he would look at the floor when he would answer Lauren. Lauren said she thought this behavior was strange and commented that Chris didn't seem concerned about Shanann or the kids. Lauren explained further and said Chris appeared to be somewhat confused and he didn't appear present in the moment. Lauren said as she continued to talk to Chris, he mentioned he was going to try and go back to work on Tuesday. Lauren said she thought it was weird for Chris to want to go to work when his wife and kids were still missing. Lauren said Chris explained that he didn't want to be in the house and he didn't know where else to go. Lauren said she left the house at about 5:30 p.m. This was the last time Lauren spoke to Chris. Lauren said she drove around the neighborhood for a few minutes to see if she could find any sign of Shanann and the girls. Lauren said she did not see anything useful, so she went home and started calling friends and asking if anyone had seen Shanann. Lauren said none of their friends had heard from Shanann. Lauren said she saw the interview Chris gave on the television Tuesday night. Lauren described Chris as cocky, and his interview appeared to be rehearsed and odd. Nothing further. Greg Zentner. Attachments. Audio file of the interview with Lauren. So Lauren made a number of great observations and was quite on to Chris. It was clear Chris was in probably constant deep thought of what he was going to do next, because his whole plan that he had rehearsed was now totally destroyed, and so he was now working on what he was going to do, and trying to think of that while also trying to make up lies to people that were around him was just too much. Okay, next page is CBI report. This description is social media post and lists the name Aubrey. This is September 7th, and reporting law enforcement officers Stacey Galbraith. Synopsis. There was an online social media post located by CBI analyst Jillian Ganley on September 6th in reference to this case, which Aubrey posted on August 29th at 8:17 p.m. In quotes, "I met Chris and Shanann on a popular adult site back in February. I had sex with both of them on 3 different occasions in a 2-month period. I think Chris talked her into trying the swinger lifestyle, but she wasn't into that. She definitely would have put the brakes on any extramarital activity now that she is pregnant. I think this is part of the reason he snapped." End quote. Analyst Ganley was unable to readily identify the author. And it gives a URL there to Aubrey's Facebook page. It appears the account may have been created for the sole purpose of posting the comment listed above. Frederick PD Detective Baumover was contacted and informed about the inability to identify the author. No further action taken. Post and Facebook screenshot attached. No narrative is associated with this report. Subject unknown is Aubrey. Okay, the next page, 787. 786 is not there. We have description, false report of relationship with Chris Watts. Listed name is Laura. September 7th. This is from Greg Zentner. Contacted Laura about Facebook posting in which she claims a relationship with Chris Watts. Laura confirmed the posting was fake. And it lists Laura's name here as subject. Action taken. On Friday, September 7th, I investigated a Facebook posting in which someone with the name of Laura claimed she had a relationship with Chris Watts. The Facebook posting read, in quotes, "Chris and I met at the local tavern a few times. We acted like teenagers in the back of his truck. He made me feel like I was the only one." End quote. The posting was under the name of Laura, Chris Watts, accused killer of Shanann Watts and children. End quote. CBI analyst Jillian Ganley was able to locate a phone number connected to this Facebook account, and the phone number was connected to Laura. I contacted Laura via telephone and identified myself as a member of the CBI, and I was investigating the Watts homicide case. I asked her about the Facebook posting. Laura confirmed the posting was fake, and she did it to try and prove a point that the other people have nothing better to do than talk about what other people put on Facebook. I informed Laura that she had wasted the investigators' time and resources trying to track her down to confirm if her claim was true, and she hung up the phone. Nothing further. Greg Zentner. Attachments, image of Facebook posting under Laura, and image of Facebook posting in which Laura claims the posting was fake. Okay, next page we have another CBI report. Description is transcripts of interviews with the mistress on August 16, 17, and 21. Kevin Kobach. Dates from August 29th to September 7th. This is just a synopsis. On August 29th, I, Kevin Kobach, requested the attached interviews be transcribed. On September 7th, I received the transcripts, reviewed them for accuracy, and they were attached to this report. Synopsis only. No other narrative is associated with this report. Okay, next page we have Cbi Investigation. This is another synopsis only description text messages from the mistress on September 6th. From Kevin Kobach on September 6th. I, Kevin Kobach, received the attached text messages from the mistress regarding a law enforcement official attempt to reach out to Charlotte. See attached messages for further. Synopsis only. No narrative is attached to this report. So I'm not sure what that text message said. I think, I'm not sure if we'll see it. But it's regarding law enforcement attempting to reach out to her friend Charlotte. I don't know what the mistress may have said. But perhaps we can get our hand on those text messages. Let me know if you have any more information on that. Next page is CBI report, description, interview with Amber. She was receiving threats on Facebook that she was the other woman. This is on September 11th, and this is by Greg Zentner. Synopsis. Received an information report from the Inglewood Police Department. Amber works at Anadarko in the downtown office. She has never met Chris Watts. She is the subject of Facebook accusations that she is the other woman in Chris Watts' life. So we have Amber's name listed there as the subject. Action taken. On Tuesday, September 11th, I received an information report from the EPD about Amber's possible interaction with Chris Watts. I contacted Amber by telephone and inquired about her knowledge of Watts. Amber said she works at Anadarko in the downtown Denver office. Amber said she has never seen or met Watts. They just happen to work for the same company. Amber said recently she has been targeted on Facebook by several people accusing her of being the other woman in Watts' life and wrecking the Watts' family. Amber said these comments were made on private Facebook sites, and the only reason she knew about them was because Anadarko has hired a third party to monitor all social media related to the Watts case and any connection to Anadarko. Amber said she tried to make a police report to the EPD, but she said they didn't seem interested in taking a report. Amber said the EPD told her the threats did not rise to the level of a crime. Amber said someone put her address on the Facebook postings along with her phone number. Amber said she is concerned that someone may try to contact her in connection to the Watts' homicide case. This information was forwarded to the Weld County District Attorney's Office for tracking. Nothing further. Greg Zentner, image. Attachment of image of information report from Inglewood PD. Okay, next page is a CBI report, description CBI crime scene report, number D18-3239. This says August 13th through August 21st, 2018, and it's Greg Zentner. Synopsis says crime scene report from CBI agent Dave Yoakum. No report associated with this supplement, only attachment of the crime scene report. Lists Bella and Celeste and Shanann as victims, and lists Chris as suspect. The next page is blank. And then the next page is a CBI document. It says tip, and then lists the year 2018 and some other number. I guess this is the this is an endangered missing alert. I don't think this is the exact same one as earlier. The call taker, it says Jillian Ganley, and reporter's name, that's Detective Dave Baumover. So Synopsis says, on Tuesday, August 14th, I reached out to Detective Dave Baumover at the FPD regarding a missing persons poster they had put out. The situation was discussed, and it was decided that an endangered missing alert would be most appropriate. The alert was issued on August 14th at 3:20. The alert was canceled August 16th at 8:33 p.m. So current assignment, it says signed to Jillian Ganley. Just lists priority 4, I guess lasting for 15 days. Follow-up comments. On Tuesday, August 14th at around 11:28 a.m., I received an email from Devin at the CIAC. He included a news article about a missing woman and her 2 children in Frederick, Colorado. He wanted to know if we had seen it and if we were doing anything about it. I told him I had not, but that I would check in with the agency to see if we could be of assistance. Devin stated he had not received any requests from the Frederick Police Department. At 11:44 a.m., I called, and then it lists a phone number, which was the number provided on the missing persons flyer, and asked to speak with Detective Dave Baumhover. I told him that I had seen the missing person poster and wondered if he considered doing any kind of alert. He stated that he was pretty overwhelmed and asked if he could run the whole situation past me to see if there was anything CBI could do to help. The facts at the time were these. 34-year-old Shanann and her 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, were missing. Shanann had been on a trip to Arizona for the weekend, and the 2 girls had been home with their dad, Christopher Watts. Shanann had returned to the house around 1:48 a.m. on Monday, August 13th, as confirmed by reporting person Nicole. Nicole had been on the trip to Arizona with Shanann, and she had driven Shanann home from the airport. She confirmed she saw Shanann go into the house around 1:48 a.m., and that was the last time Nicole had seen or heard from Shanann. The next day, Nicole attempted to contact Shanann several times, but never received a response. This was very unlike Shanann, who, in general, was very responsive. Nicole went to the Watts residence to check on Shanann later that morning. She saw that Shanann's car was still in the garage, and her favorite flip-flops were by the door. This was very alarming to Nicole. Nicole knew Shanann was scheduled to be at a doctor's appointment that morning, so Nicole went there to check. She was told by the doctor's office that Shanann had not shown up. Nicole then became very worried and contacted Shanann's husband, Chris. Chris stated that he had not heard from Shanann that morning. Nicole stated that she could tell something was wrong and that Chris needed to come home from work immediately. Nicole then called the FPD to report a missing person. Frederick police arrived at the residence at 1:36 p.m. to do a welfare check. Police arrived around the same time that Chris arrived at the house. Officers entered the house with Chris's permission and swept the residence. They found that all of Shanann's personal items were left in the house, to include her keys, her wallet, and her medication. The girls' medication and car seats were left at the house as well. Upon further search, her phone was found at the residence. Chris informed police that around 4 a.m. he had told Shanann that he wanted a separation. Because of the unusual circumstances, the FPD decided to fly drones over the space around the Watts residence and had cadaver dogs go through the house. According to Detective Baumhover, the dogs had just hit on an area near the basement stairs a few minutes before I had called. He stated that an additional dog was on its way to confirm the hit. After learning all of the facts, I relayed to him that I thought an endangered missing alert may be appropriate, but that I needed to confer with the supervisor. He then informed me that the FPD was running out of resources, and he wondered if we could provide any investigative assistance as well. I informed him that we would be happy to send a couple of agents to the scene to assist. I informed him I would check with my supervisor regarding the potential alert and would get back to him. I also told him that in the meantime, agents would respond to assist. He thanked me for reaching out and agreed to talk soon. Next, I went to relay the situation to Assistant Director Vols and ask for his help rounding up several agents to send to Frederick. He agreed with my plan and left to touch base with Detective Baumhover and to assign agents to the case. I then ran the whole situation past my supervisor, Aubrey Simpkins. I stated that my preference regarding the alert would be to wait until they completed the second sweep of the house with the dogs. If they confirmed the hit, I would prefer not to issue, given that the hit would indicate one or more members of the family was no longer alive and was not actively missing and in danger. If the hit could not be confirmed, we would issue the alert. Supervisory Analyst Simpkins agreed with this plan, as did Assistant Director Vols. Next, I contacted agent in charge Kirby Lewis to inform him of the situation, just to keep him apprised. He also agreed with the plan and stated that he would do all he could to help. I informed Detective Baumover of this plan and of the fact that several agents were en route to assist. I then prepared the endangered missing bulletin just in case and proceeded with normal business. Around 2:33 p.m., I heard from Tammy Lee, who stated that the dog's hit was not substantiated with the second dog and requested that the alert be sent out. I sent out the endangered missing alert at 3:20 p.m. Over the next hour, I received several calls from Agent Tammy Lee and Agent Kevin Kobach, requesting that I run background on all individuals involved. See 2018-273/38 for further details of the analytical work done on this case. The alert was canceled on August 16th at 8:33 p.m. End of report. And we have the family's names listed there, and the endangered missing advisory report form on the next page. This is the activation with the pictures of Bella and Celeste and Shanann, as we've seen before. And then subsequently is the activation one again. Then the next page we have this non-PDF file list, and it has about 20 attachments, all zip files, and that's on page 808. And then next on page 809 we have a Colorado Bureau of Investigation Forensic Services Division. So this is some new types of documentation. This is by David Maloney and David Yoakum, and it says crime scene report. A whole bunch of different information here. It says investigated by Kirby Lewis, date of request or date of offense August 13th. So this is regarding a whole bunch of evidence that was processed. These various locations that are listed here are their home, Frederick, Colorado, Anadarko well site, Roggin, Colorado, then B&L Repair and Tire in Frederick, so that's related to the vehicles. You'll see here in a second when it lists evidence, but first we'll go through this narrative. Initial information. On Tuesday, August 14th, 2018, at approximately 2300 hours, which is 1 p.m. Initial information. On Tuesday, August 14th, 2018, at approximately 2300 hours or 11 p.m., Cbi crime scene analyst David Yoakum was contacted by Cbi crime scene manager Dave Maloney and requested to respond to their house at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, August 15th, to assist with the processing of a residence in which 3 family members had been reported missing by their family and friends. After the Saratoga Trail scene was processed, I was notified at 4:30 p.m. on August 15th by CSM Maloney to respond to a remote location in Roggin, Colorado, to process the scene where the missing persons had been allegedly taken to and disposed of. On Monday, August 20th, CSM Maloney requested I respond to 241 Oak Street in Frederick, Colorado, to assist with the processing of 2 vehicles that belonged to the suspect in this case. The vehicles potentially had been used in transporting the deceased bodies of the three victims from the residence. Scene investigation, 2825 Saratoga Trail. That's their home. Upon my arrival at the residence at 5:45 a.m., I met with FPD Detective Dave Baumover and Officers Walsh and Perez. According to Detective Baumover, the house had been searched with the consent of the owner, Chris Watts, on at least 3 different occasions. The searches were conducted by members of FPD and included canine searches from cadaver dogs. Detective Baumover also stated the owner, husband, and father of the missing woman and children, Watts, had given consent to collect any and all evidence that police could use to locate his missing family. Chris Watts also stated to Detective Baumhover the home could be processed with forensic methods to obtain evidence relating to his family's disappearance. Detective Baumhover and I agreed that I would photograph the residence, utilize Blue Star latent bloodstain region on areas alerted by the canines, and then assist with the collection of any evidence located in the residence. It was agreed upon that CBI would not collect the evidence. FPD would collect and package all evidence located in the search. According to Detective Baumhover, Chris Watts had been living in and accessing the home prior to and since the disappearance of his family on Monday. Scene observations. The neighborhood and home is located within a newer residential area consisting of large single-family homes. 2825 Saratoga Trail is a two-story, single-family residence located on the south side of the street, with the front doors facing north towards Saratoga Trail. The home has 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, with office space, an unfinished basement, and a 3-car garage. Upon entering the front door, there is a living room and dining room. To the left is a staircase that leads to the upstairs bedrooms, laundry, and loft area. Near the staircase that leads upstairs is a hallway that runs to the east side of the house. The hallway provides access to the basement stairs, a bathroom, utility room / garage entrance, and an office. On the south side of the residence is a full kitchen, eating area, and an additional family room. A door on the south side of the kitchen opens to the backyard of the home. The upstairs portion of the home consists of 3 bedrooms, a playroom, laundry room, and a central living television room. The home is in like-new condition with no visible signs of damage and was clean and organized. A walkthrough of the home showed no signs of forced entry at all basement and first-floor windows. No doors appeared to have been forced or damaged. Scene processing. Photos were taken of the scene. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to all bathroom fixtures, tub, shower, sink, toilet, which resulted in no signs of chemiluminescence. Blue Star was also applied at the locations where the searching canines had alerted, mudroom by the garage, and at the top of the basement stairs in the hallway to the mudroom. No signs of chemiluminescence were observed in these areas as well. Prior to testing, positive and negative presumptive tests were done with expected results. While assisting with the search of the home, I observed in the kitchen trash bed sheets and pillowcases. The sheets and pillowcases were grayish in color, with numerous small light blue, light green, lavender colored squares on the sheets. The bedding was buried beneath other items of trash. Further examination showed the sheet to be a flat sheet and 3 matching pillowcases. Stains were observed on the sheets and pillowcases. The bedding from the kitchen trash was collected by FPD. Throughout the home, several electronic items and clothing were located and collected by FPD. CBI cleared the scene on Saratoga Trail at 10:45 a.m. on August 15th. No evidence was collected by CBI. Scene investigation, Anadarko property. Upon arriving at the Anadarko well site property in Roggen, Colorado, at 6:20 p.m. on Wednesday, August 15th, several members of the Frederick and Firestone Police Departments were on scene. CBI agent investigators Matthew Saylor and Greg Zentner were present along with several employees of the Anadarko company. I learned that CBI and FPD investigators had utilized the GPS tracking system within Chris Watts' work truck to identify the routes Watts had taken the morning the victims had been reporting missing. GPS tracking identified the truck driven by Watts to have traveled to the well site we were currently at. The Anadarko company, as well as the owner of the Cervi ranch, had provided written consent for law enforcement to search the property identified by the GPS tracking system in the truck owned by Anadarko. Agents Saylor and Zentner informed me that members of the Firestone PD had utilized a drone to fly over the Anadarko property in Roggen. While the drone was in use, a video feed from the drone showed a sheet on the ground within the fenced area of the Anadarko leased land. The sheet had been compared to the photo I had sent to Agent Saylor earlier in the day when the sheets had been discovered in the kitchen trash at the home of on Saratoga Trail. According to the investigators on scene, the sheets' colors and patterns were consistent with one another. Investigators on scene also stated that from the video taken from the drone, an area void of vegetation had been located and appeared to have been recently disturbed. Anadarko employees stated there was no plausible reason for the disturbance on the land. The disturbed area shared common characteristics consistent with a possible clandestine grave site. It was decided that once the warrant had been signed for the property, CBI would begin the collection of the evidence located around the scene and then begin the excavation of the possible grave site. CBI would then conduct more extensive, intrusive searches for any additional evidence that could be located within the scene. CSM Maloney and forensic scientist Schroeder arrived to assist with processing the scene at approximately 8 p.m. Scene observations. The Anadarko property is leased property within the Cervi Ranch, which is a 35,000-acre cattle ranch located in southeastern Weld County, Colorado. The leased property, known as Oil Tank Field Cervi 319, GPS coordinates 40.2 and -104.3, due north of I-76 and 3 miles north of the town of Roggen, is used for the extraction, collection, and storage of raw crude oil from local oil wells and pumps. The Anadarko well site was located approximately 9 miles north of Roggen, Colorado, along dirt roads and dirt two-track trails. The site itself is a 3 to 4 acre property fenced with barbed wire and secured by a locked gate on the west end. The topography and geofeatures consist of sandy, dry soil with sparse native vegetation and dry pasture rangeland for livestock. No structures other than oil collection tanks, pumping equipment, and agricultural infrastructure are visible in any direction for several miles. Within the fenced area were 2 large tanks approximately 20 feet in height and 12 feet in diameter. Each tank is equipped to hold approximately 400 barrels of crude oil, or 16,800 gallons. Also, within the site was a wellhead, pumping facilities, waste collection, and venting pressurization equipment. Within the site, numerous safety precautions and procedures are in place due to the toxic vapors and the volatility of the crude oil and gas. Anadarko, Day 1, August 15, 2018. At the site, numerous vehicles were parked within the fenced perimeter. Due to diminishing daylight, auxiliary lighting was brought in to the scene by Anadarko. Located to the south and east of the wellhead was an area that appeared to have been recently excavated and filled back in. The area appeared to be approximately 8 feet by 14 feet in diameter. Living foliage was observed partially buried on and under the uneven ground. Once the search warrant for the property had been confirmed to have been signed, a more thorough search of the property was done. Items of evidence located were collected and packaged by myself and F.S. Schroeder. Scene processing. Photos were taken of the scene with and without markers. Measurements were taken through the use of GPS, polar coordinates, and a laser measuring device. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to the thief hatch of each tank after positive and negative presumptive test of the reagent had been done with expected results. No chemiluminescence was observed on each tank or the catwalk connecting the tanks. On the north edge of the excavated plot was a rusted rake head. The rake had been placed with the handle attachment portion buried into the ground. To the east of the plot was a wooden tool handle, as well as a piece of metal that was consistent with connecting a rake head to a rake handle. On the property were 2 black plastic bags. One bag was located to the west of the excavated plot, while the bag was located to the south. To the south of the black plastic bag was a bed sheet. The sheet was a fitted sheet consistent with the same pattern and colors of the sheet I observed in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. As the search of the site continued, I observed several strands of suspected hair, attached to the interior flange of the top hatch, the thief hatch, on the easternmost crude oil storage tank. After the collection of the visible evidence, CSM Maloney and I began the excavation of the suspected grave site. Approximately 9 inches below the surface grade, CSM Maloney and I located the adult female victim believed to be Shanann Watts. The victim was in a fetal position with her knees pulled up to her chest at the bottom of the grave and her feet directed up towards the top of the grave. Her chest and face primarily was facing down into the ground while her back was oriented up. Her head was towards the west, while her feet were towards the east. Her left arm was extended to the east alongside of her head. The victim was wearing a blue pair of underwear and a light-colored shirt. The depth of the grave when the body was removed was approximately 27 inches in depth. The Weld County coroner took possession of the victim at 0020 hours on Thursday, August 16th. All items of evidence collected at the Anadarko site on Wednesday, August 15th, were transferred to Detective Baumover at 0039 hours on Thursday, August 16th. CBI remained on scene throughout the night as part of scene security. I want to call attention to the size of that grave that he dug. The depth of the grave was approximately 27 inches in depth. So that's 2 feet, 3 inches. It seems like it would have taken a lot of effort to dig that grave, and as we know, Chris Watts did not have a lot of time. And also, he didn't seem unusual to his coworkers when they arrived. You know, it probably would have been pretty clear if he had to just dig that hole. The way he would have appeared after that, I think, would have been very different. So it leads me to believe that he dug that in advance. Anadarko Day 2, August 16th, 2018. Scene processing. Images taken through the use of a drone were taken prior to the arrival of all investigators and support personnel to the scene at approximately around 7:30 a.m. At approximately 10 a.m. on Thursday, August 16th, the process of unloading the contents of the tanks in search of the 2 juvenile female victims and other evidence began. Anadarko employees and their subcontractors began the process of unloading and emptying the tanks. This consisted of draining the tanks through a gravity-fed line at the base of each tank into a collection tray, 8 feet by 3 feet by 6 inches. The tray was then emptied through a 4-inch hose with an attached 3/8-inch strainer into a vacuum system attached to a tanker truck. Once the tanker truck had been filled and no items of evidence had been identified during the course of draining the tank and filling the truck was released with its contents from the scene. Once the tanks were empty, entry to the tanks for body recovery could only be done by specially trained and certified personnel. Entry and recovery was done by the Colorado State Patrol Hazardous Materials Team through a side hatch located near the bottom side of the tank. Entry into the tank could only be done through the use of self-contained breathing apparatus and full hazardous materials fire protection gear. Atmospheric conditions as well as volatile flashpoints were monitored by Anadarko employees as well as the CSP Hazardous Material Team. This was obviously a seriously dangerous situation that Chris put these people through. I mean, this is probably the next thing after being around nuclear waste or something. You know, what they had to subject themselves to and the danger, of these toxins and fumes. Unbelievable. Victims. Upon the completion of emptying the east tank, a juvenile female victim, believed to be Celeste Watts, was found buried in crude oil sludge at the bottom of the east tank. The victim was recovered by CSP and was wearing an orange-pink colored shirt, shorts, and a diaper with no shoes or socks. After the recovery of the victim from the east tank, the west tank was drained under the same procedural guidelines. Again found in the bottom of the tank in the crude oil sludge was the second juvenile female victim, believed to be Bella Watts. The victim was wearing a pink multicolored shirt and shorts, no shoes or socks. The tanks were both searched for additional evidence by CSP. No additional evidence was located. The waste and overflow tank directly to the east of both tanks was visually searched for additional evidence. No evidence was identified or observed. What Chris did to these children is beyond reprehensible. These poor children. We love you, Bella and Celeste. We all love you. Search beyond the scene. A line search was conducted by CSM Maloney using law enforcement personnel within the fenced area of the Anadarko scene. Line searches were also conducted outside of the fenced Anadarko leased property in the areas to the north and west of the tanks. During this search, a possible portion of the rake was located. All items of evidence collected at the Anadarko site on Thursday, August 16th, were transferred to Detective Baumover at 6:17 p.m. on Thursday, August 16th. CBI cleared the scene at the Anadarko site at 6:40 p.m. on August 16th. Scene investigation. Vehicles. On Tuesday, August 21st, 2018, at 10 a.m., myself and F.S. K. Henson arrived at Oak Street in Frederick, Colorado, to process and execute a search warrant for the two vehicles which possibly had been used to transport the deceased victims in the case. Present at the impound lot was Detective Baumover and OFC S. Walsh from the FPD. After a brief discussion, it was decided that CBI would photograph, collect, and package all evidence located. CBI would also use adhesive-based rollers and collect any possible hairs, fibers, or other trace evidence from the Ford truck in an attempt to determine any recent possible occupants of the vehicle. The vehicles, Ford truck and Lexus 350, were being stored at B&L Repair and Tire, located in Frederick, Colorado. The Lexus SUV was at an indoor impound lot west of the property at 247 3rd Street, Frederick. Both properties are under the same ownership and control. A 6-foot chain-link fence surrounds the property to the west of the building that faces Oak Street. Access and entry to the lot is controlled by B&L Repair and Tire through the office on the Oak Street side, and as well as a locked gate on the 3rd Street side. The building located on 3rd Street is locked and accessed only with assistance from B&L Repair and Tire. The impound facility is a contracted vehicle impound lot with the FPD. Scene observations. Vehicle 1, gray, 2015 Ford 250, CO license plate QFT 682, and then it gives the VIN number. The vehicle was parked outdoors in the locked and secured impound lot to the west of 245 Oak Street, along with several other vehicles. The truck had been exposed to rain showers earlier in the week. The truck was in good condition with no obvious signs of damage. The doors were locked and the window glass was not broken. The truck was an alternative fuel truck, powered with compressed natural gas. The doors to the truck had been secured with evidence tape, and upon inspection the tape and seals were intact and not broken. Scene processing. In the bed of the truck were affixed toolboxes and fuel tanks, hose implements, as well as miscellaneous hand tools, which included a round point shovel, a square point shovel, and a sickle, were identified and collected. Also within the bed of the truck was a partially full gas can and fire extinguisher. Located in the front passenger compartment of the truck, a roll of black plastic bags was observed and collected from the front passenger side floorboard. The front driver's seat and front passenger seat were covered with canvas seat covers. From the steering wheel, a possible DNA swab was collected. In the rear seat were two large plastic bins that contained miscellaneous work materials, safety equipment, personal items, maps, and paperwork. A pair of black rubber boots were located on the floor behind the front passenger seat. Beneath the rear seat were additional miscellaneous tools. Adhesive lifts were collected from the rear seating area and floor. Located in the front passenger side door panel was a green disposable cigarette lighter. That was very interesting reading all those. We have the gas can. We have the cigarette lighter. Right? We have method of starting a fire. He also has a fire extinguisher. I imagine those are things that he does not normally work with, given the dangerous atmosphere of the oil sites. It's my guess. Vehicle 2, white 2016 Lexus RX 350, CO license 528ZJV with the VIN listed. The vehicle was parked indoors at a large warehouse located at 247 3rd Street along with several other vehicles. The vehicle was observed to be in good shape with no visible defects or serious damage. The SUV was unlocked, however the doors, windows, trunk, and hood had been sealed with evidence seals and were observed to be intact and unbroken. The interior of the vehicle was relatively clean and uncluttered. In the rear seat passenger area were 2 car seats affixed and secured in place. Girls' clothing and shoes were noted on the floor along with small toys and a stuffed animal. In the rear cargo area of the vehicle were numerous zippered empty duffel-style bags. Also located in the cargo area were several items of men's clothing, which included a shirt, socks, underwear, jeans, and belt. A pair of newer brown leather boots was also observed and collected. Medical paperwork as well as paperwork collected from the front center console identifying dates and times of travel from Denver International Airport was also collected. All items of evidence collected at the Impound Facility on Tuesday, August 21st, were transferred to Detective Baumover at 1:10 p.m. on Tuesday, August 21st. CBI cleared the scene at the Frederick impound lot at 1:30 p.m. on August 21st. So I think some of the interesting stuff there was the men's clothing, which I assume was Chris's, and the pair of newer brown leather boots. Not sure if those were hers or his. We also had the girls' clothing and shoes, as well as small toys and stuffed animals. So it's interesting to know what may have been there already from just Shanann driving the car to what may have been added or removed by Chris. Scene documentation. The scenes were photographed by CBI using a digital camera. Drone images were captured at the beginning and end of Day 2 at the Anadarko site. Measurements were taken by CBI through drone software photogrammetry, as well as through the use of the laser distance meter. Photo log. There's a number of photo numbers. Descriptions are scene photos of 2825 Saratoga, their home. Scene photos, Anadarko site in Rogan. Photos of suspected hair in Thief Hatch of East Tank, Anadarko site, Rogan. AM drone photos utilizing Pix4D software. PM drone photos utilizing Drone Deploy software. There's vehicle photos in Frederick. Black plastic bag from Marker 1 at the Anadarko site. Black plastic bag from Marker 2 at the Anadarko site. Gray and white sheet from Marker 3, Anadarko site. Rake head from Marker 4, Anadarko site. Wooden rake handle from Marker 5, Anadarko site. Suspected hair from East Tank Thief Hatch from the Anadarko site. Partial piece of rake handle from Marker 7 at the Anadarko site. All the following items are vehicle evidence. This is the truck, and this is all at B&L Repair and Tire. Round point shovel from work truck, Marker 8. Square point shovel from work truck, Marker 9. Sickle from work truck, Marker 10. Gas can from work truck, Marker 11. swabs from steering wheel of work truck, black plastic bags from floor of work truck, marker 13, driver's side front seat cover from work truck, marker 14, passenger side front seat cover from work truck, marker 15, black rubber boots from rear passenger side floor of work truck, marker 16, trace lifts from center console of work truck, trace lift from rear seat driver's side work truck, trace lift from rear seat passenger side work truck, cigarette lighter from passenger side front door panel truck, brown boots from Lexus. Oh, this is Shanann's car now. Brown boots from Lexus at marker 21, white shirt from Lexus at marker 22, miscellaneous paperwork from Lexus. And then next page it has a diagram. Well, this is interesting to go back and look at if you can. This is on page 817. So it's an aerial shot of Cervi 319, and what I'll do is just try to give you a visual, since most of you are surely listening. So if you want to try to picture this in your head, we're looking at the site again from the sky. We have the tanks in the northwest corner, and the grave site is in the southeast. So you have the west tank and east tank, which are right next to each other. Then it shows 100 feet into the southeast direction to get to the wellhead. 68 feet further in the southeast direction from the wellhead is the grave. Then from the grave, which is out, on the outskirts of the dirt area, right? So it's in foliage out there and bushes and such. You have the following. From that grave, 30 feet, pretty much west, little south, but mainly west, is plastic bag number 1. Now 37 feet east, in sort of a little bit of southeast, but mainly east direction, you have the rake handle. Now below that, 39 feet, even more southeast from the grave, is the rake head piece. Okay, so basically off to the east, you have that rake handle, that rake head piece. Off to the west, you have the plastic bag number 1, and that's again in direction from the grave. Now going south, 54 feet south from the grave is plastic bag number 2. 25 feet south of that is the bed sheet. Okay, so kind of have these things off to the west, the south, and the east of the grave. I'm sure some things may have blown around. Not sure why he would have dispersed things that way, but it certainly, it wasn't super far off the dirt area. So in other words, if other people came, you potentially could see some of this stuff, I would imagine, out there. We're talking, 50 feet, 75 feet, to 100 feet off of the dirt area. So it's not that far off. But this is a very interesting picture. I suggest you actually come back to this page if you can. If you have the link, Discovery page 817. But hopefully that did it justice as best as I could. Okay, next is the CBI evidence transfer form. So these are the things that I just read a moment ago, and these are transferring to the Frederick PD. It says requesting agency Frederick PD for transferring that evidence, signed by Baumover and transferred, from Dave Yoakum to David Baumover. So it was a transfer from the forensics to the Frederick PD. So it was all the rakes and the sheet, the hair, all that evidence that we just read is written down on these transfer forms to transfer that over. So that's where we're going to end part 35, finishing up page 819. Next we'll get into a very brief report on the autopsies, and then we'll actually start getting into some various mail that Chris Watts was receiving during his time thus far in jail. So we obviously got a lot of information there on the evidence from the site and the vehicles, which was extremely interesting. Especially, I can't get past the gas can and the cigarette lighter. I know there's been discussion recently of him potentially blowing up that site. I do personally think that he was going to be doing something like that to dispose and to completely destroy all evidence. But thank God his plans did not come to fruition in that respect, because it certainly was a huge driver that he did not get away with this. So thank you so much again for listening, for being here to support. In loving memory of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico, God please bless the Rusek family tonight, tomorrow, every day. We know they must be going through so much pain and heartache, and we're here just to support with love. This is The Diplomat. Have a great day.